Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Austin here with StarCraft 2 commentary number 16. Today's episode is going to have Grantula, our red Terran player, spawning at the bottom right of Metalopolis, spawned up against Hesperide, our blue Terran player, spawning at the bottom left of Metalopolis, which is quite a common map these days. Not sure how long it's been around, but ever since I began to play, mostly in about September, it has been a pretty big name in the Blizzard map rotation. And in addition, I'd like to just extend a special thank you to Half Decent Gaming, this is Matt to me, for making the awesome intro that you saw before this video. And it is now Sunday, February 4th as I cast this, but you're probably seeing it on Monday, February 12th. And I knew that because now I have this the Monday-Thursday schedule, of which I'm quite fond. I like having deadlines. And because I've already cast the two replays, and I need to keep ahead in my replays, as I have a 2-week training trip to Florida, for which I will not be at during which I will not be at the release video. So I want to keep ahead so that when I get back and I'm forced to make up for different schoolwork I missed for the 1 week I was away from school, at least I have 1 week of March break, then I have to compensate through having an excess of videos, because I promise you I will not have time to cast videos by the time I get back. So nonetheless, into our game, we have Hesperide sent in this replay, so thank you to him. I've actually been playing quite a lot in the past few days, and truly upping my macro skill in general, and we have an extremely close timing. I've seen every building, as I just did that little personal introduction, every building has been almost identical, Hesperide maintaining a minor edge, so we've been playing quite a number of 2v2s. We are in silver, but dominating it. We make a quite solid team, and so both players, of course, opening up with their respective their respective barracks, and just SCV production almost identical. Hesperide actually falling behind in supply here, so he was edged by his opponent with the Marine, and now we just have the second supply depot here for Grantula. Well, Hesperide's wall is quite paltry, but there is the chance he suffered from lag at the beginning of this video, as his computer sometimes faults and he lags a little bit and cannot produce a wall early in the game, which is quite terrible. My computer can nimbly support fraps on medium StarCraft 2 quality, of which I'm quite happy, but I'm getting a 7200 RPM hard drive, which I said probably a million times, so I will back off the computer upgrades pending, but nonetheless, StarCraft 2 is quite a demanding game. I have Zapper, a friend of mine, who sent in a number of replays, sometimes has trouble connection-wise. So now we just have the factory here from Grantula, and a factory as well for Hesperide. So these two players could perhaps be long-lost twins. They are producing exactly in sync, which is quite ironic, as in kayaking and canoeing, the sport that Hesperide and I both participate in, synchronization is ever important. So we have the second refinery here for Hesperide, outpacing his opponent, who has yet to conceive one. So perhaps we will have a reactor Hellion. I'm not sure though, as Grantula's barracks does not boast a reactor. So it now, oh no, that is Hesperide. So Hesperide now has a reactor pending on his barracks. So perhaps he is going for reactor Hellions, and his opponent actually has a starport. Pardon the cough. This is definitely a 1-1-1 opener here for Grantula, so he is ahead by 4 in supply, and Hesperide will see this with the scan, and a well-placed scan, and he still does not have the wall, just 3 Marines produced, and he's getting a star point of his own, so these identical twins are both managing the 1-1-1. Grantula now with the engineering bay, and also Hesperide told me to mention this of air, this is a Gold League replay, and we are very comparable 1v1 skill, Hesperide and I, so I'm in bronze personally this season. Bad placement. I'm not even trying to make excuses. I'm definitely a mid to high silver player, and so you will see a couple games from now. Pretty neat replay I played earlier today, and so essentially I hate going around talking to new players of StarCraft that I meet saying yes I'm in bronze. It makes me sound awful, but I'm actually a lot more skillful than that league. I mean, we all have our origins, but not to be rude, I should be out of bronze by this point. So we have the missile turret here from Grantula lifting off the factory, and he will most probably have the starport landing there, and now a second rack, so a 1-1-1 transitioning into a 2 racks. So now Hesperide with a couple desperate supply depots, and he just has a siege tank out. No upgrades in production at all, though, and not even an engineering bay. And so often upgrades can be one's downfall. We have this Banshee here from Hesperide, and a lifted off factory from Grantula. Not sure why that is hovering amid the abyss. just, you know, broadcasting news with this Metalopolis copter, as we have the reactor on the starport, but no medevacs in production. So army-wide, oh, we do have a drop pending, so I'm not sure why Grantula has not loaded this last Marine. That would be quite an error if he did not. So we have his expansion in production, and I'm still unsure as to why he has this factory lifted off. Perhaps it is some extremely weird strategy of which I'm not aware. And we have the engineering bay finally for Hesperide. He has this one Banshee. He usually goes for the one Banshee harass in our 2v2 replays. It is quite effective. I mean, Banshees are not the strongest, but they can pick off workers quite adeptly. And now he has a Viking, so probably predicting medevacs or perhaps a medevac drop. And we just had this one Marine boldly running in to Hesperide's base. Let us see how much he can do. And finally, Grantula here with the late stim pack and his natural in production. None from Hesperide. He does have siege tech instead, and I'm truly, this is frustrating me why Grantula would have this factory lifted off. I am almost entirely sure that it is not normal for a player to do so, wasting a building like that. But if it is some crazy strategy, as I mentioned before, please do notify me of it. So finally, we have the second gas from Grantula. It is quite late, so this has been truly a twin game, yet both players eventually reaching the same level of tech, just at different times. So we had the engineering bay a little earlier from Grantula. Not sure if he's yet to research anything. No, he has not, and he has not actually gone for any sort of a harass. I'm not sure. Oh, sorry, no. There we go. No sort of harass. So Hesperide has had the one worker here killed, so most probably the scout, and now he's opting for a 9-minute 23-second push. But we have the second missile turret here, so Grantula smartly placing these missile turrets to avoid the Banshee harass. So I suppose that is why Hesperide is yet to actually put any pressure on. Factory still hovering, of course, and now weapons level 1 in production for our red turn player Grantula, and nothing for Hesperide. So these upgrades are ever important. Truly, upgrade timing and just use of upgrades in general will change games. You could have a lesser or equal army, and even worse micro, which is quite hard to master, and upgrades will make the difference for you. When we finally have Hesperide catching on, and a second orbital here for Grantula, he has the third refinery on his natural, so probably making up for his lack of a second that he initially failed to build. He's teching up quite nicely with the 2 medevac and just mass Marines here. And Marauders, perhaps? No, just Marines. So not sure why he would have the tech lab there, I suppose, for stim, but why not produce Marauders while you are at it? Another sacrificial Marine moving in, so not sure if that's too economical if you're Grantula. I mean, don't waste. The Marines are not too expensive, but I feel bad for the lad receiving a brutal death at the hands of 3 siege tanks. So now we just have a scan revealing 2 supply depots, and that makes Hesperide look like quite a noob. Just these 2 supply depots and calling down the mule here, producing medevacs, siege tanks, and different mech of the sort, with the weapons level 1 finally in production, as I might have mentioned before. SCVs, of course, streaming out for both players. Now, let us see who is leading in Harvester. So Grantula actually almost doubling Hesperides, which is ever important. We will now return to our production tab. And finally, instead of having to actually go there and select it from the drop-down menu, I've just realized you can easily press one key and have the exact same power as going to the drop-down menu. Just, you know, these commentary skills. So we have combat shields and Terran infantry armor level 1 in production for our Grantula, and he's getting the armory. Not sure why, though. He does not have too much tech. He has the armory here, and finally this factory landing, which that was a while. I'm surprised the factory did not fall to its doom, as it must take quite a lot to float a building up in the air as such. So he is opting for a second factory here. I am not sure if Grantula is going to be able to hold against any sort of pressure from Hesperide. He is somewhat supply blocked, and Hesperide coming with a second Banshee and another siege tank, so it is looking quite grim for our red player here, especially with Hesperide's siege tanks. He does land the scan here, revealing the mass Marines, and this tech lab barracks should have been producing Marauders. So Grantula has played well, outpacing his opponent in terms of tech somewhat, and definitely economy. Now Hesperide actually supply blocked, and oh, I apologize for missing that drop. That will cut off his supply, so he will presumably push very soon. Here's the actual siege tank pressure and a Banshee, and oh my good lord, all of those siege tanks tearing Grantula's Marines apart. Just tons of body parts lying about, so these few Marines have been rendered suddenly insignificant. Hesperide just rushing into the main now. This missile turret quickly taking out the Banshee. So as I mentioned before, they're quite fragile. Nonetheless, the Banshee did serve its purpose, kind of raising up the Hornet's Nest for these 5 siege tanks to just tear into Grantula's ground army. So that is the GG from Grantula. And Hesperide will emerge victorious, albeit his supply blockage. So that was a quite quick game. Well played by both players, back and forth, almost twin tech for the first about 5 minutes, and then Grantula, I'm not sure why he had the factory lifted off, and the mass marines with the tech lab, so just a few mishaps from Grantula, a well-played game on both parts, some nice harassment. I will see you guys in episode number 17. Tough to keep up when you're like 4 replays ahead of the current episode. I hope you enjoyed this casting. This is Ost77SC signing out. Goodbye.